You're not going to believe this. A few months ago, I did something stupid.
Bam bam, mon ça se place, j'ai sur mon lit à bouffer sa langue en buvant trop mon whisky. Quant à moi, peu dormi, vie débris, mais j'ai dû dormir dans la gouttière où j'ai eu un flash. En 4 couleurs. Allez hop, un matin, une louloute est venue chez moi, poupée de cellophane, cheveux chinois, un sparadrap, une gueule de bois, a bu ma bière dans un grand verre en caoutchouc.
I posted this on LinkedIn and guess what happened? People want to see blood, sweat and tears. Of course they went with option 1. Well, at that time I had zero idea what I was about to put myself through, but now 3 months later, here I am, alive and kicking. Everything started with a crazy LinkedIn post. But in reality, at that time, I already had a Figma file full of startup ideas that I would add from my late night iPhone notes. The thing is, I had zero idea on how to execute any of those, and I always thought that each idea would be a multi-million-dollar startup. But conceptualizing and ideation are one thing, execution is another. For years, I've been assembling my ideas on my iCloud notes, but they never get to see the light of the day. So, in the middle of 20-30 different ideas, how am I going to pick the winning horse? Or at least, how am I supposed to pick my first startup? I know, everyone says that the first idea doesn't count and it never works, but I feel like the effort and desire should be added anyways, regardless if it's a shit idea or not. Today, people share a lot of insights, a lot of how-to-dos, a lot of documentation, a lot of startup life experiences, but in reality, I feel like no one wants you to build one, and that's wrong. There's too much noise, too much information, too many guides, and too many videos to watch. However, I feel like what separates real startup founders from the failed ones, I feel like it's just starting out and execution, and if the idea doesn't work, just find another and repeat the cycle. I think it's learning from the journey and learning by making mistakes. With this, I want to throw again a bold claim that this is my first startup, and I want to make it work regardless of everyone's opinion and advice. Again, this is not the first startup that I work for, obviously. I have 12 years of design experience, and the past 7 or 8 years were fully dedicated to the startup space. And one of the things that also made me start is that I saw a founder posting on LinkedIn something along the lines of, how can I trust someone else's service for my startup if they never built one? That got me thinking. I know, I probably spend too much time on LinkedIn, but the thing is, I've been trying to gather as much information as possible for this challenge. With all of this in mind and without any further ado, let's start the show. I'm Ismael, a freelance brand designer, sharing my business in public, showing you the behind the scenes. And now, here I am, trying to be a startup founder too. No fancy cafes, no business trips, no cold showers and no morning runs. Just me in my office at home. As I told you before, this is my secret Figma file with all my startup ideas. I tried once to find a tech co-founder to join my spaceship project, but priorities got in place and it's really tough to find like-minded people to bet on your vision, especially when you haven't proved anything to anyone. Well, early days are always the tougher ones, right? It's always hard to find someone that believes and trusts in you. So yeah, I have my secret file ready for the future. And who knows if I have my golden chicken eggs here. For safety reasons, that was blurred and I'm sorry. It's just a small tease. I have around 20 to 30 ideas. Some are new, others are just kinda a revamp with a twist. But now, here's the question, which one is the winning idea? For that, I came up with a system of my own that I could filter the startup ideas given my priorities in life. Given that I'm running my brand design business as my main provider, I can't just shut down this and focus 100% on the startup. That would be a bad call. Well, at least for me and for the stage that I am at with my life. Just a disclaimer, I'm not here to give business advice to anyone. I'm just bringing out what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, and most importantly, why I take that decision. So, I've created a system with 4 questions to be answered. Question number 1. Can it be run with 1 hour work per day? Oops. Again, I'm just adapting the startup to my life, and who gets in the future if it can take over? I feel like most of the startups fail early because founders are using multi-billion-dollar unicorn ideas, and early days the execution will always come short due to lack of time and operations to managing it at the same time. Question number 2. Can it be done over a weekend? This is also a challenge to myself since I want to vibe code it and I don't want to look for a co-founder to develop it or hire someone to do it. Another thing that helps me, it removes the megalomaniac ideas, the multi-billion dollar unicorn ideas, and the super startups and the all-in-one solutions that never came to see the light of the day. Bit of execution will be key here. Well, I also know that if I can do it over a weekend vibe coding it also means that someone else can copy it and vibe code it in a weekend or even in a single day. I know it. But this is not about that. I'm not afraid of competition. Competition is healthy and it means that there's a market for that. And that question also helps me reducing the tech debt and land, something that I feel like it should be key for me as a first-time startup founder. I need to know what I'm talking about and I need to know what it's been produced. Question number 3. Can it be scalable? This question is more about, can I bootstrap it? I don't want to be depending on funding or investors. This idea needs to be scalable through user growth. Even the infrastructure and future human resources that I might need, my plan is always to keep it lean. Me and myself and in the future, if everything goes well, I would just hire services for some support. But who knows for now, we're such early days, things change fast. Question number 4. Does it already exists? Against the laws and against all advices, I wanted to include this one. Everyone says to copy something that already exists, to don't reinvent the wheel, but this had to be something fun for me. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. Companies spend way too much money on social media, ads, marketing, community, product, and I just can't afford that. So that wouldn't be a fair game, at least for now. In that case, the idea needs to be initially unique. I know that it will remind you of something or there's something out there with similar features. Now, it's time to score each of the ideas and choose the winning horse.
Bam bam, mon chat splash, j'ai sur mon lit à bouffer sa langue en buvant grand mon whisky. Quant à moi, peu dormi, vie débris, mais j'ai dû dormir dans la gouttière où j'ai eu un flash.
And you ask me what's next, and I guess it's build and validation, right? The thing is, I feel like nowadays startup founders, and given my case, I feel like they spend way too much time on validation, creating forms, chatting with people, interviewing people to understand the idea, if it's something that people can use. But here, we're just playing a different game. Probably this is going to kill me in the future. Nowadays, and especially this type of startup. Prove me wrong, but I'm not gonna spend weeks or months asking people if my startup idea is valid or not. I'm gonna start building it as soon as possible and getting my first users in. Regarding growth, I'm gonna try to keep the reach organic. Whenever I feel a little bit stuck on user growth, I'm gonna try to validate it on a bigger scale, trying to running some ads, but for now, let's just focus on building. But what's the idea then? Stay tuned for the next episode. I'll break down how I built my startup and every decision that I took during the process. Thank you for watching and see you on the next one.